Hi there, welcome to Boxing Deep Dive. I'm Lyndon Hosking, and this is our final show of the year. It's our Christmas special. We've got a big show in store for you in this episode. I'm going to quickly bring in my co-host, the one and only Grant Tazzie Brown, and the even more one and only Peter Maniatis. How are we, guys?
Great to be on the show, Lyndon.
Why is he more? Why is he more one and only?
Well, he's a little bit better dressed and a little bit better looking. That's all.
Better looking. I'll give him that. He is a movie star, mate. He's a movie star. We're gonna go Bar Bambi soon and see the Russian boys, and we're gonna have a good night.
Yeah,
no quizzes that night, Peter. No quizzes that night, mate.
No.
A few
shoeies though.
I've got the ante in this episode. I've got a couple of the harder ones in there this week because we seem to be line ball every week. So I've chucked a few curveballs in there, but I'm ready to go. I've got the Christmas vacation T-shirt on here, so I'm ready.
Nice.
I was going to get the hat happening, but
I was going to do it too. I was going to do it as well.
Well, maybe we should have had a memo go out that we all wore one. It would have been good. I wasn't game enough to do it. But if I had known you guys were doing it, I would have done it. But anyway, massive show, boys. So what we're going to do is a little bit different tonight. We've got a little bit of international news, a little bit of Aussie news. Obviously not much happening a week or so before Christmas. But we're going to do our year in review for Australian boxing, that is. And then we're going to get into some awards that we're going to virtually hand out, our own little choices for Fighter of the Year. And also the fight of the year, Australian and internationally, and some fights we wouldn't mind seeing in 2022. Plus the talking points, 5 of those, as well as Tazzie's tirade. I'm a little bit cautious of this one. We spoke obviously today, Tazzie, and you're a bit fired up about this one. Don't say what it is just yet, but it's fair to say this is going to be your most tyrannical tirade for the year.
Yeah, I'm not holding back tonight, mate, and.
So close to Christmas, Tazzie.
I promise you I wasn't going to say a certain word, but I think I might say it anyway tonight.
Yeah. Well, the shackles are off in this episode, so we're all a little
during
bit
the festive season, Lyndon.
Serenity now, as they say. But we've also got the quiz. Final opportunity for you boys for bragging rights for the next 4 or 5 weeks after this one finishes. Last week, Pete come from the crowds,
fired up,
knocked off the reigning champ Tazzie, and final chance for redemption in this episode.
Biggest comeback I think since might have been when Collingwood was up in the grand final by about 50 or 60 points and
44.
I'm not sure if it was I'm not sure who the team was. Was it Carlton or Richmond or someone?
The Blue Boys, mate. The Blue Boys
came up and I was a bit like that, mate. So I'll give him full credit there. He had a bit of help from you, but he came home.
Inspiration, not help. Inspiration.
So you got a bad decision, did you? In the end, it was a split decision. Went the other way.
Well, he pulled Felix Trinidad out of his ass, mate. I don't think Peter can even spell Felix Trinidad.
Well, guys, we'll get straight into it because we've got a real full show for this one. We'll get straight into the Aussie news, and only a couple of things on the go, Tazzie. Obviously, the first one, I'll bring it up here on my little list here, is Liam Paro. Sorry, you think I'd be organised after having about 15 episodes to get it right, but Liam Paro is in action this week. I'm not really keen to worry about the actual card that he's on. You can mention it.
I mean, obviously. Yeah, he does get a lot of
there we go. That's better.
A lot of attention. Paul gets a lot of attention because of his YouTube status and that. And obviously, they do. A lot of people tune in. A lot of non-boxing people tune in for them fights. So, mate, it's a massive car for Paro to be on. And he's been over there a while, mate. He's been getting great sparring. Shakur Stevenson and a lot of the good guys at the lightweight and junior welterweight division. So he's been over there for a while. Alfie DiCarlo's just joined him now, his coach. So, mate, look, it's a I think he's ranked, number 2 or something, or 3. So, this is a big fight for him. Yeah, so this is, and he's fighting undefeated fighters. So, this is quite a big test for him, mate. So, I wish him all the best from here at Boxing Deep Dive, and hopefully he brings it home.
Pete, do you know much about the opponent at all? I think he's 21-0 from memory. You don't know anything about him?
Are you speaking?
Yes, I'm speaking to you, Pete. Yep, sorry, mate.
Oh, yeah. No, he's Puerto Rican. Yeah, he's quite good, actually. He's going to be a real good test. Size-wise, there's not much in it either, and it's really a real good matchup. I mean, he's a highly rated fighter. He's a very good fighter, so this will be a good test for Parra. I think Parra will be too strong for him, especially the last few rounds. Parra's got excellent conditioning and he finishes really hard in his fights. And, I'm really interested to see how this one goes. Look, I think it'll be very competitive the first 6 or 7 rounds. I think Parra will come over the top of him and win a close decision for mine.
Well, Tazzie, hopefully he learns a little bit from both Brock Jarvis and George Kambosos. One is with Brock Jarvis, just go over there, keep the head on. Brock probably let the occasion get to him a little bit. Obviously, he came away like true champions do and got the win, but it was definitely a very steep learning curve for him. And then obviously the George Kambosos component, anything is possible.
100%. Yeah, look, I think the fact he's been over there a while, sparring the likes of Shakur Stevenson and that's only going to put him in really good stead. So iron sharpens iron. If he was just flying over there to go and fight, I might be a bit worried. But the fact he's been there for months now, I've followed his journey a bit. And I think he'll do really well, mate. So I said I wish him all the best. And to Alfie and Angelo DiCarlo and to Liam, hope you get the win, boys.
Yep, all the best to the guys. And it's on main event on Sunday. I'm not sure how much it is, $39.99, I'm assuming, or $49.99 or something like that. So if you want to watch him, go for it. You obviously get the Jake Paul, who's he fighting? Woodley in the main event. So
yeah, Tyrone Woodley, a UFC
he was fighting
fighter.
Fury's brother. He was fighting Fury's brother, but he pulled out. So
tune in. If you've got nothing to do on Sunday and you got a few spare bucks, buy it and support another up and coming champ.
You went from Vegas to.
I'm in Vegas.
Back to,
yeah.
Can I say something, boys? Quickly, a quote from the great Johnny Lewis.
Yep.
He said, "Tazzie, mate, you can go from the penthouse to the shit house just like that."
Is that
That's
what I've
a true
just done?
story,
My
mate.
background.
I know you, but I'm just saying, just as a fighter, you can go from the penthouse to the shit house. Another good one I'd like to say as well: go to the fight in a limousine and go home on the bus. I like that one as well.
Yeah.
Just a bit for you young fighters out there that might be getting a bit too big for yourself. It goes like that. As soon as you lose, no one gives a fuck about you, boys. Trust me.
Yeah. Well, on to these fights next week, Pete. On the 21st of December, Andrew Maloney and Froylan Salyudar. You obviously know a little bit about Salyudar. Should be a good fight.
Should be a good fight, yeah. Salyudar's a real tough campaigner with Sandman. He's fought for a world title. He comes from a fighting family. His brother Vic is also fighting for a world title. And he's got another brother, I think it's Ramos, who's an excellent amateur who'll be turning pro. He'd be one that you'd want to sign up. He could be better than all of them. I always say the youngest ones are the best of the lot, and he possibly could be the best. But Froylan's a very good fighter. He's dangerous early. And he'll, Andy needs to be aware and be respectful early and not get tagged.
Yeah, no,
but
I think
I don't see troubling Andy over the 10 rounds. It's a 10-round fight.
Andy's got way too much to lose than to take him easy. One thing here, Tazzie, I don't see Harry Garside on either of those cards. Is he still fighting, or has he been left off the fight cards there?
No, he's fighting.
He is fighting.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Well, I spoke to Johnny Lewis a couple of days ago. He was fighting the Fijian guy. So, Lenny. Well, I thought Lenny Zavavinya was off the show because he got COVID.
Lenny's off.
He is off. Okay. Well, this is only taken from the No Limit page yesterday, I think. So they obviously haven't updated. But the other one I see was Stevie Spark broke his rib, so his fight with Riverdaz is off as well. So it's always bound to happen when you've got a dozen or so fights. There's always bound to be 3 or 4 that weren't going to happen. Peter, you allowed to say another fight that's going to happen, or you got to keep it button for the time being?
Keep a button,
okay,
I think.
That's fine.
Let's wait for it to be official.
It'll be worth waiting for or seeing on the night because it's going to be a ripper, that fight. But we're obviously just waiting for a few things to be finalised so they can announce that. So that should be a ripper. So there you go. So Maloney, Salyudar on the Monday, and then Gallen and Lusick on December 22, the night after. So, and then obviously the night before that, also is Michael Zarafa fighting in Melbourne. So who would have thought we'd have 3 fight nights Christmas week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Never seen that ever, but circumstances have obviously made this happen. So should be a good week of boxing. So that's
well done to the No Limit boys, mate.
Yep.
They're doing
had a big year.
Outstanding work, the Rose boys, and I'm sure 222 will be an even bigger year, mate. They're really head and shoulders above everyone at the moment. So full credit to them.
Yep. All right, guys, what we're going to do now is get into the year in review. So we can't obviously have every single show on there. So we've picked out about 10 or 12 of the sort of biggest sort of shows during the year. Kicked off up in Queensland, March the 5th. Your man, Terry Zurumaunis, Pete, come up short against Liam Paro.
Yeah, Terry really, let's just say, I think he overtrained for that. He went in with a slight cut and he had a rib injury, but we retired Terry in the corner after the 7th round. I think he might have got dropped by a body shot in the 5th round. He got up and powered home. I mean, he didn't wobble or anything, and he probably could have gone a distance, but I looked to Ben Chua and Ben looked at me. His wife's in the crowd. I said, mate, you know, he's not hurt or anything. At the end of the round, he came back, and I said, mate, I'm just going to stop it.
Well,
so I don't want him to go out in the next 3 rounds and he just gets beaten up.
Yeah.
I'd rather stop it now because Terry isn't a KO punch. And you can just see Paro starting to really motor. And I just said, mate, you know, the fighter's brave, but the corner's not. We're not a brave corner, so stop it right now.
He's lucky to have you there, mate, because when the fight's gone, it's gone. There's no use copying extra punishment. March 13th, Michael Zarafa, KO 1 over Anthony Mundine. And this was a real sad night, Tazzie, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, I mean, I was with Chock. He was at my gym the last couple of weeks, and I was getting some sparring partners for him. And, I mean, look, you know, Australian boxing should bow to what Anthony Mundine has done for Australian boxing since his debut. Father Time catches up with everyone, and he could have picked, you know, an easier guy, but he picks a guy in his prime, you know, a guy that's off a big win over Jeff Horn, and then an exciting loss to Jeff Horn where he, you know, almost had Jeff Horn again gone. A guy that's, you know, at the peak right now, you know, and I mean, to go out against a young guy like that wasn't smart, and I was dead against it. But look, I love Anthony, and it wasn't a good night. It was for the Zarafa camp, obviously, but for anyone close to Anthony, it wasn't a good night. And down in Bendigo, the home of Linda Hoskins. But I mean, look, you know, Anthony's good now. He still trains. He'll probably still do a few exhibitions, but you know, I think he's happy now. I think he wanted just to finally know if it was still there, and you know, and then now he knows it's, you know, it's not. You know what I mean? So, as I said, you know, much love and respect to him, and I just hope that he continues to have a good, happy life, mate. But what a great thing he done for Australian boxing for 2 decades.
Yep,
unbelievable.
Certainly did, mate. Also on the card, Shannon O'Connell proves she's the number 1 female fighter in Australia with a unanimous decision, a 10-round decision over Shanika Johnson. And your man, Pete, Faris Chevalier with an upset 10-round decision over Blake Caparello. You probably didn't see it as an upset, but the Aussie boxing scene did, because he hadn't been in there, I think, was it for 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years. Took about on 5 weeks' notice. And, Faris did what he had to do. Blake's a real gallant fighter, one of the most respected fighters in Australian boxing.
Another underrated fighter, exactly. Yep.
And I promoted Blake early in his career and worked with his team. They're a good team. And Blake's one of my close mates in the sport, actually. We always have a laugh and catch up, and he's one of the great guys. So, it wasn't his night, but he's had many great nights, and probably leave it at that.
And he is, you're right, mate. He's a champion bloke to go with it as well. So on to the next one, March 27th. A little promoter down in Tasmania put on a WIBA world title fight, and Christina Mousy Jacobs got the chocolates over Lorinda Webb. Must have been great to go back there, mate. Tazzie.
During COVID too, it was a tough one. I went to work with the government and get a COVID restricted crowd of 867 was what they gave me. And look, yeah, it was a great night, mate. It was a night that I won't forget, and I'm sure Mousy Jacobs won't forget. You know, she and like may I say, Lorinda Webb and her team and Scotty Tuddenham.
Well, I was in
probably
the corner
the best.
that night too. It was a great night.
Yeah, I was getting to that, Lyndon.
Oh,
probably
sorry.
the best I've dealt with as a team. Like Scotty was so good to deal with. There was no bullshit. In boxing, we know some people are a bit awkward, but him and Lorinda were great to deal with. It was great to have you there, Lyndon. It was great to have Dave Birchall, your old amateur, and was there, and also Fidel Turkle. So look, it was a good night, mate, and there's some other good fights on the card too. Bo Belbin won well, and obviously Plugger fought late McFerrin as well fought. But look, Mousy, she deserved that win, and she put boxing back on the map since Luke Jackson in Tasmania. So, thanks to mention it, mate. It was a special night, especially during COVID.
Yeah,
people won't know what it was like to do a show during COVID with all the borders closed, and it was just a nightmare.
Yeah, and no, you did a great job down there, and all the Tazzie faithful were down there as well. It was a really good atmosphere on the night. So we move on.
And a good win by my guy Luke Wannington as well. Bendigo boy got a good knockout win, and he's turning pro on my show in April.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, no, he's a good man, Luke.
He likes you. Big fan of yours, Lyndon.
Thanks, mate. The feeling's mutual. All right, let's move on. March 31st, for the biggest show to date for the year. March 31st, Tim Tszyu with a 5th round knockout of Dennis Hogan. And Pete, I was a little bit surprised by this. As good as obviously Tim is and has been, I was actually surprised that Dennis didn't put up a little bit better fight. I thought he'd really give Tim some troubles with his boxing skills, but he just didn't really turn up on the night, did he?
Yeah, I think he got his nose broken 5 or 6 weeks out. I spoke to Steve Edwards about it. He just couldn't recover, and he did his best. Sometimes you just don't have your night. It wasn't his night, and good on to Tim because he's rocking on, and Tim's doing big things in the sport. So
that
is what it is.
Yeah. And your man, Tazzie, you got the smile on your face there. He just continues to make you proud, doesn't he, Timmy?
Yeah, mate. As I said, Timmy, I've known him since he was 2 years old through his dad, and we reconnected in Russia back in 2017. I think he had probably 6 fights, and yeah, look, as I said to him the other night at dinner, I said, mate, from then to now, in a couple of years, look where you're at. Like you're the face of Australian boxing pretty much, and you fight, you're getting good crowds, you're a pay-per-view star, you're one win away from a world title. So yeah, look, he just keeps improving. And people don't understand too how competitive Tim is. Tim wants the best during COVID to get any fights. The Rose Boy's done well. So he's ready to take on Charlo Castana or whoever. Like he's ready. And, and I believe in 2022, Tim Tszyu will be world champion.
Yep.
I really believe that.
And on the same card, Wade Ryan had a 10th round stoppage of Cohen Mazudia. Matteo Tapia had a 4th round stoppage of Reynolds Quinlan. And Paul Fleming had a 7th round stoppage of Tyson Lantry. So it was a ripper night of boxing that night, and well worth the $50 or $60.
Wade Ryan, mate.
Yeah.
Wade Ryan.
Yeah.
One of the best stories in boxing in recent years. He's just like gone from a B-side fighter to the A-side fighter. And he said we spoke about it a while ago. He'd done the hard yards. He went to all the backyards. He fought the Zarafas. He fought Tim Tszyu.
Emmanuel Carlos down here on our show.
Carlos. He fought everyone. And he lost to the main guys, beat the lesser guys.
Yep.
And now he's turning around. Whereas the A side, it's just it's just a dinky die country boy. His interviews, he's just a real honest bloke.
He is.
And he can fight. And, mate, it's just a real good story. It's a feel-good story. It's a real feel-good story.
Yeah. Well, we haven't got a category for tonight, but I think comeback of the year would be Wade Ryan, closely followed by Luke Woods, I think. So, we'll move.
Yeah, very closely.
Yep.
And they're in the same weight. Fucking let them fight. That's fair. That's a pretty good call, Lyndon.
No limit, make it happen, I think. All right. Yep. Number 5 on our list happened on April 10. Probably not so much a great fight, but it was a big card. that was put on by DNL and Tasman Fighters. Justice Hooney got the job done with the first round knockout of Jack Morris, Pete. But the undercard was good. Andrew Hunt beat Ben Kite over 10 rounds. Letty upset Connor Wallace, and Ben Mahoney won a 10-round decision over Chris George. So it was a pretty good night of boxing, apart from the main event, obviously.
Yeah, it was. I'm really interested to see how Hooney keeps going on because, I mean, he's 5 fights in. He's probably got the same class and pedigree as a Joseph Parker. So I think he's going to be where, in 2 or 3 years' time, he could be fighting for a heavyweight world title if he has 20, 25 fights. I mean, I don't want to rush him. He's still young, but some real big things for Justice Hooney. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan.
I feel like
his dad,
they might be
Rocky's a
rushing
good
him,
guy
mate.
as well.
They reckon 7 fights next year, mate. So
It's a lot of fights.
I feel like they are in a bit of a hurry. But look, he's over there with Justin Fortune now, who's a great trainer and great bloke. As you know, Manny Pacquiao, strength conditioning coach for many years. As I said, tough fight against Joe Goodall coming up. But look, I feel like they are in a hurry, mate. They want 7 fights next year. It's a lot of fights for a heavyweight in 1 year. I'm not a fan of that, but I respect DNL. I respect Dan Lonergan very much. He's a great promoter. Look what he done with Jeff Horn.
Of course.
Stuart Duncan, a matchmaker, of course. But I don't know, mate. Justice, he lacks that power for a big guy. Probably you're right, Peter, about the same as Joseph Parker. Well, Parker won a world title, but I don't know. The jury's still out for me on Justice. No disrespect to him and his dad, but I'm not sold. He hasn't sold me yet.
And I'm curious too, Pete. I'm not being disrespectful here, but wildcard is about 5 minutes from Fortune's gym. Wouldn't you maybe go pay the extra $2 in cab fare and go to wildcard? I know Justin's a good guy and he's a good trainer, but if you're in LA and you're near the wildcard, wouldn't you go to wildcard? And maybe there was obviously an arrangement made there, and Freddie might be busy. Who knows? But
yeah, Freddie's got a lot of fighters, so to go to Justin's, you probably get more attention, and that's probably what they decided. Because, I mean, Freddie gets a lot of drop-ins now, and people just want to see him and stuff. He's a bit of a celebrity, and he probably just wants to do some work and get a bit more attention.
Yeah, no, fair enough too. All right, so we move on to the next one. It is April 21st. Paul Gallen, a first round knockout of Lucas Brown. Tazzie, thoughts?
I really like Paul Gallen. He's a great guy. I had lunch with him and Peter Baby Matreski last year, and he's great for boxing gal. The Big Daddy Brown fight, full respect to Big Daddy, because no one can take away what he done in Chechnya. Chechnya, people probably don't know much about Chechnya. I do, because I go to Russia regularly. It's just near Russia. That's a very intimidating place to go to and fight a local guy in front of the Chechen president, Kadyrov, who I'm a massive fan of, by the way. He runs a tight ship, unlike Australia. I'm not going to bag Big Daddy, mate. He went down early. I'm not sure really what the go was. Was he warmed up? Was he prepared? Was it a good shot? Could he have gotten up? I don't really know. But look, the result is Gallen won in a big upset. Look, what do you say about it?
I think enough said about it, mate.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the undercard, Pete, because on the undercard, Bruno Tarimo, who's obviously fighting on Sunday that we'll get to a little bit later, won a 10-round decision over Kai McKenzie, on top of his fights with Paul Fleming, Nathaniel May, and Joel Brunker as well. If I missed someone there, I might have, but he's fought pretty much everyone in Australia, has Bruno. Liam Wilson won a 10-round decision over Francis Chua, and Lenny Zappa made easy work of Danny Kennedy with a 3rd-round KO. So again, the main event was a bit disappointing, but it was a great fight night.
Yeah, great fight night, and a real in-depth undercard too. The undercard's got a lot of depth, and when you're a sports fan, you want to see some good fights on the undercard, and they spend money and they spend money wisely. So good on No Limit.
All right, we'll move on to April the 23rd. Brock Jarvis had a 6th-round stoppage of Nort Beauchamp. He's a game little fella, and on the undercard, Isaac Harbin had a 7th-round stoppage win over Mark Lucas. So it was a pretty good fight by Jarvis that night, Tazzie, because it was probably his first real test. I know he'd fought Mark Schlebs. I'm not sure. I think that was after. That was the one before that. So he's game North Bow champ. He'd obviously had a win over Joel Brunker, so he's no slouch. But it was a pretty impressive performance by Brock Jarvis that night.
Yeah, it was, mate. Yeah, it was a good step up for Brock, and he brought the pressure that he brings, like not many people do. You know, Jeff Fennick style, in your face. Always in the pocket, going to the body, going to the head. Very, very strong for his weight. Very big for his weight. So, yeah, look, it was a good fight for Brock, and just another step forward, because I believe that he has the talent to go a very long way in the sport, as does Jeff, and he's got the best guy in his corner, mate, Jeffrey Fennick.
Certainly has, and Isaac Hardman made a statement as well, Pete, with a 7th round stoppage over Olympian Mark Lucas.
Yeah, good win. Look, Hardman, what can we say? He's been active, and Fox has been his best friend, hasn't it? We've seen him develop on Fox. He's lucky that he gets a platform like that. Many fighters don't get that type of platform to perform, but he's got it and he's built up his profile. Hopefully he makes a lot of bucks.
No, definitely. On to May the 26th, Justice Honey back in action with a 10-round decision over Christian Zoy, who you know a bit about him, Pete. He's Christian Zoy. He's actually a pretty tough boy, and he's fought I think he's fought Joseph Goodall as well and gave him a tough fight too.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see him at cruiserweight. He's very, he's from the Commonwealth Games team. He came over here, and he's based in the West. He always goes and gives it a good fight. He's not a big heavyweight though. He'd only be 6 foot. Yeah, 6'1", but he gave Honey a good fight, and I mean I think that was 3 weeks before Honey fought Gallen, and you know it was old school from Honey though to fight him and then fight Gallen 3 weeks later.
Well, it was an odd night too, Tazzie, because on the same night Isaac Hardman backed up with an 8th round stoppage over Robert Berridge, so he was pretty active.
It was Berridge. It was the other week that they fought.
So you got to take your hat off to him, Tazzie, for keeping him so busy.
I always say it, and I'll say it again. Inactivity kills boxers. An active fighter is a happy fighter, like Canelo, like Tim Tszyu. Hardman had a great year. He's fighting regularly. And, mate, you can't beat that. You know, he's in the – I mean, when there's not many spaces between fights, that means you're in the gym. Like a lot of fighters have big gaps between fights and not in the gym, but if you're fighting regularly, you're in the gym regularly. So you can't beat an active fighter. Some fighters aren't blessed to have dates regularly, but, mate, he's doing it. He's making the most of it. Hats off to him. He's a ripper bloke, and he's good for boxing, Isaac Hardman. He's really good from his entrance to his talk before, the talk after. I like the Ric Flair. Woo! He does it all, mate. He's awesome.
Yeah, no, he does. So we move on to June the 16th, I think it was, and Justice Honey again in action with a 10th round stoppage of Paul Gallen. And I must admit, Pete, you've got to take the hat off to Gallen. I never thought he would give Justice Honey 1 second of trouble. He probably didn't. He probably lost nearly every round. But geez, you got to take your hat off to him, because the guy's got balls that clank.
Yeah, terrific card. I was hoping he goes the distance just because of the effort that he put in and the punishment that he copped. But, you know, look, he's got no real background in amateur boxing, and you know, his fights as a pro, most of it just been handpicked fights. So for him to do what he did was a massive effort. He overachieved to actually go 9 rounds. I think it was at 8 or 9 rounds or 10 rounds?
Last round it was, yeah.
10 last round. So, yeah, he overachieved, really. That's a Herculean effort. Massive heart. Massive heart.
I think Gallen's performance overshadowed Honey's win, because he'd done an amazing job. Honey, if he's the real deal, he should have got Gallen out of there early, mate. Gallen up against any top heavyweight in America gets done in 1 round, or England. So that's the thing. That's why. And then he stopped himself from going to the Olympics. You don't take those 2 fights before the Olympic Games. Pardon me. Lyndon, will you have took 2 fights right before the Olympics?
Never.
If you knew they could ruin your chances? And don't talk about money, because you can't put a price on Olympics.
Lyndon cashed up. I mean, is Justice Honey cashed up? That's
I wasn't
the thing.
cashed up. I wasn't cashed up at all.
Oh, you were, Lyndon.
I was
always
21 years old.
Bendigo.
I didn't have a cracker to my name at the time.
They said that you dug up a massive chunk of gold at Bendigo at 18 years of age.
No, that wasn't me. That was something. I didn't know someone had actually dug up a very big nugget back in the day, but actually made the movie The Nugget after this guy. I didn't know him personally, but anyway, that's a different story. Also on that card, by the way, Isaac Hardman, 4th round KO of Emmanuel Carlos. Very, very impressive performance.
Good win.
Yeah,
I rate Carlos.
Yeah, me too. And Pete, you've obviously had a bit to do with him as well. And the other one of note was Andre Mikhailovich with the 2nd round KO of Alex Hannon. That probably stole the show just with 2 rounds.
Yeah, he beat Alex Hannon's part of my brothers who body punch boxing, Billy Hussein and that. Yeah. And so, yeah, look, there was a bit of hype there and a bit of bad blood, legit bad blood from New Zealand. Yeah. But he went into it and done the job, the Russian guy from New Zealand, and Alex had to eat humble pie, unfortunately. Yeah, but, I mean, it was a bit of a shock. Yeah, mate, good card. As I said, Hartman done a great job to beat Carlos. I thought Carlos would have really gave him some hard work being such a good boxer. And Gallen done a great job against Toonie. I'll tell you now, mate, he stole the show.
Mm. Yeah, he did. And people, I mean, with all due respect to the body punch, Jim, mate, that Alex Hannon, mate, he got exactly what was coming to him, with all due respect, because to punch him in the stomach at the face-off and then point the gun at him at the weigh-in, that's piss poor, I think. But
look, and that's no reflection on body punch.
Oh, no, that's not the gym, that's the person.
No, I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying that's did against what Billy and Hussey and the boys.
Yep. Well, I think everyone that knows the gym knows it wasn't the gym.
They're totally against that sort of shit. But unfortunately, your fighters sometimes have their own personality and sometimes show it. So, look, he copped the spray, don't worry. Yep. But unfortunately, and look, he let it all get to him. Alex is a nice guy, I know him, but he let it all get to him. And look what McGregor says about people's families and wives and that. So, look, it is what it is, mate. Yeah. I mean, McGregor made a comment about Khabib's Muslim wife, mate, once, which is,
there's certain no-go.
Sometimes there is no-go zones,
And I think with all the hoo-ha before the fight, you get over that. But as I said, when you're pointing imaginary guns at people and smacking them in the guts before,
there's no.
That's a reflection on the person, not the gym, of course.
There's
you got the ultimate comeuppance. You got KO'd in 2 rounds. So
there's no room in boxing for that sort of nonsense, mate.
Exactly. I don't believe it. And anyone that knows Hussey and Skinny and that up there, no, that's not them. They're the exact opposite. So definitely not a reflection on them. And like you said, I'm sure they gave him just as much of a lashing out the back than what he copped in the gyms, in the ring. Sorry. So I've
got to return the rap, mate. Skinny is saying gave me a big rap on a boxing show the other night. So thank you, Skinny. And Skinny's one of the nicest guys in boxing and one of the greatest fighters that Australia's ever had, in my opinion. He almost upset the great Manny Pacquiao before Manny was actually, the king of the world, mate. But great fighter.
Yeah, no, exactly. And Pete, were you surprised? You obviously had a fair bit to do with Manuel Carlos as well, that he only lasted the 4 rounds against Hardman, because I actually thought he'd give him all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, just one of those things. Sometimes if a fight doesn't go to plan, Carlos looked okay early and landed some shots.
He's run out of gas, didn't he?
Hardman just landed some real big power shots and
right hands all day. Couldn't miss. Couldn't miss with the right hand. Couldn't miss.
Yeah, good on him.
Yeah. All right. Well, we move on to July 7th. I think I've got the right one. No, I haven't got the right one there. I think we've skipped one there. The Twins. I did actually skip one there. It was I must have missed the slide there. It was Tim Tszyu over Stevie Spark. What a fight to miss. And obviously, and Liam Wilson, unfortunately, was beaten on the undercard as well. So I'll get back to the Twins in a minute. But Tazzie, look, it was to be expected. It was a real shame that Michael Zarafa pulled out, and we've gone over all that, so let's not talk about the reasons why. But great of Stevie Spark to hop in there, and even better of Tim Tszyu just to get the job done, get him out of there and move on.
Yeah, well, like I said, Tim stays busy. The Rose boys, keep him busy. And look, the date's set, the venue's there, just get an opponent. Don't worry about what happened beforehand. That doesn't mean shit. Okay, that guy's not going to be there. I want to fight. Who do we fight? Who's there? Stevie Spark come off a great win over Jack Brubaker. And he took it. And you had to respect it, mate. You know what
And
I mean?
went up two divisions as well.
Yeah, but look, it is what it is, mate. I mean, you know, you fight who's in front of you, and that's all you can do.
Yeah.
It wasn't ideal, but there were either that or you sit on the bench for another 6 months. So, look, Stevie showed hard. Tim done what he was supposed to do, get rid of him, and the moves on in the sunset. And Liam Wilson, a bit of a shock upset against a very good Filipino. Wasn't a shock for some people because that guy was a very good fighter. He was in quarantine as well. So, Liam, look, sometimes guys get carried away with their power. Liam will come back from that. He's a very, very good fighter.
Yeah.
And he'll probably be better for it. But sometimes people get too carried away with their power. And sometimes, you know, they need to go back to boxing.
Yeah, I agree with that, Pete. I think with Liam Wilson, I think looking at some of his fights leading up to that, he did tend to, you know, he was dropping the guard and he was showboating a little bit and loading up a bit. I think he got a little bit, I won't say carried away, but probably a little bit ahead of where he was actually at. But I don't think there's anything wrong with copying a loss this early in his career. I think he's learned from it. I think he's wound in the talking, I suppose, and all the stuff that goes with it. And I've got no doubt he's going to come back a lot better fighter and a lot more humble.
Yeah, for sure. Well said, Linda.
Because I think he got caught up a little bit, didn't he? You know, he was trash talking at the press conference with, I think, one of the Dibs, Tazzie, I think it was, Bilal Dib. I think they were having, and look, when you're thinking a fight or two ahead and you're trash talking, it shows your mind's not on the job. And as I said, Pete, he got, I won't say got what he deserved, but he got a real good wake-up call about boxing at the elite level.
Yeah, it happens to the best of them, mate. I'm sure he's going to come back bigger and better than ever.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I jumped ahead before, but let's get on to August 14th. This was the Maloney Twins. Mixed fortunes there. Andrew Maloney lost a 12-round decision to Joshua Franco in the third fight of their trilogy for the WBA interim super flyweight title. And Jason Maloney, with probably his most impressive win, got a 10-round decision over Joshua Greer. Tazzie, it was pretty impressive. Well, I mean, as I said, it was a mixed night of boxing. Andy did everything he could to win the fight. Obviously, Franco was a little bit classy on the night, but it was an impressive performance by Jason, you know, to balance that out.
Yeah, look, mate. I felt for Andrew, like, you know, after the fight before with the eye incident, not getting the decision.
Yep.
He should have, but look, I mean, I felt for him. He went back over there. He done the hard yards. He done the quarantine and all that stuff again on the way back. And, he come up a little bit short, mate. Franco, obviously, you know, with Robert Garcia, mate, they're a pretty good crew.
Very good gym, yep.
They obviously, I thought they would have a game plan a bit different this time. I thought Andrew would still win, but I thought there wouldn't be no walk in the park because every fight's different. The last fight doesn't mean nothing up until this fight. So look, I felt for Andrew, mate. As we know, he's a great guy, and you know, and I'm looking forward to him fighting in a couple of nights and bouncing back. Jason's in good form, mate. Look, Jason done what Gambosis did. He went over and fought one of the top guys. He fought Inui, the monster, 2 or 3 pound for pound fighter in the world, and you know, so look. After fighting Inui and giving it his best shot, a lot of these other fights now, bit of a walk in the park, mate. He's already fought the top guy. So Jason's bounced back, I think, with 2 wins since then. He'll get a world title shot next year, I'm being told. Jason Maloney is definitely going to have a good 2022. And so will Andrew. And, you know, I wish the boys all the best.
Yeah, and Pete, we've obviously had a fair bit to do with them over the journey and with promoting them. And 2 great guys. They deserve exactly what that's coming. They've got so far, and I've got no doubt Andy will be back to some other fighters in that division that I think he'll match up pretty well against. And Jason, like Tazzie said, he's already fought the Munster, and that's an understatement of a Nui. But he's obviously had Rodriguez as well. But I think he's a type of fighter. I think if he gets another crack, he'll make the most of it.
Yeah, for sure. Look, both guys you know, they're starting to peak now, and they've tasted the world-class level fighters, and I know what they have to do. And obviously, let's wait and see. I mean, their moment will come. We'll wait and see.
Yep. All right, well, we'll move on to October the 16th, and Brock Jarvis made his US debut with a fifth-round knockout of Alejandro, I think you might pronounce it, Frias. Little bit rough waters there, Tazzie. He was a bit shaky there for a while, but I think it was a true test of his character that he got through.
Yeah, look, I mean, Jeff mentioned he was killing everyone in sparring. He was, really on fire. And sometimes, you take that into a fight and, you get a bit carried away, trying to force it, trying to make it happen, trying to, force the fight and force the power shots. But look, the oldest thing in the book, you never try to knock out anyone. You have a look at all opponents. You give all opponents the respect. I've made that mistake. A lot of guys have made that mistake. But look, luckily he got through it and bounced back and got a good stoppage win. Eddie Hearn was pretty happy with him, but he doesn't want to be going in those life and death fights, so early on. So look, he learned from it. He'll be a better fighter from it. And fighting in America, it's a big thing. Like, it's different to travel and fight. I mean, that's why, a lot of the guys that do win overseas, like Lionel Roses and George Gambosas and Costa Victor Chinians, it's different to fighting at home, winning a title here. Total different thing. So to go there and win a fight on a big card with Matchroom, mate, he done a great job, Brock. And as I said, I'm predicting big things from Brock Jarvis in 222 for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And that was in Fresno, California. And Pete, I think... no one. I mean, Jeff obviously knows his stuff. He's been in the big time for quite some time, and I think that he would have quietly whispered in Brock Jarvis's ear, or even in a conversation, that, mate, we got out of jail, learn from it, be better because of it, and move on from here.
Yeah, look, probably the biggest positive is that he overcame his first tornado.
Yep.
And some fighters don't do that. They get caught cold, and they're front runners. He's not a front runner. He's got a bit of ticker. He fought back and he won the fight. So I think that's the biggest plus more than anything. So,
no, for sure. All right, we'll go on. Oh, that was the same one there. Sorry. October 23rd, we had the girls headlining Tasman Fighters card. Shannon O'Connell with a 10-round decision over the very promising Taylor Robinson. I think she'll be a lot better fighter because of that fight with Shannon. It's obviously Shannon's the number one female in Australia, and one of the best we've ever had ever in the female ranks, and Taylor Robinson will go on to bigger and better things. Tazzie, it was a pretty impressive performance, wasn't it, by Shannon? She obviously showed why she's number one.
Mate, Shannon just, as I said, mate, the win over Nikiya Johnson, and then this girl, Taylor Robinson, I mean, look, they all think they've got a number. They're all younger. They're all stronger. They're all got more amateur experience. But she just keeps getting it done, Shannon. And, mate, look, she's just a phenom. She's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
She's so fit, mate. And, the fact that she just keeps beating everyone in her path, mate. So hats off to her. A big year for her next year. She's teamed up with Glenn Jennings as well, which is a great idea. But, mate, look, great win. As I said, mate, she just keeps showing all these up-and-coming youngsters who's the top female in Australia.
And it's
not even close.
No, exactly. And a couple of good undercard fights too, Pete. Jacob Wiley with an 8-round decision over Dana Kua and a really close decision. And the other biggest name in Tasmania, Luke Woods with a 10-round decision over Ethan Law. Was another ripper night of boxing, wasn't it?
Yeah, good night of boxing, good even fights, and a lot of fights that night too. I can't remember. There might have been 10 fights on the card. So
it was big.
Well done to Tasman fighters. Big green tick.
Yep. Well, Luke Woods, I think he's going to end up the mayor of Hobart the way he's going down there.
He's from the Tirade up north, mate.
Is that near Launceston, is it?
The Tirade. It's near Devonport. So he's not a Hobart boy, mate. Daniel Gill's from Launceston. Me and Luke Jackson are from Hobart.
Okay.
And no one's ever going to be mayor but me, mate.
Keep the gang colours off here, mate, with the north versus the south stuff. All right.
South is number one, mate. Hobart is number one. The north is just the north, mate. Not much up there.
All right.
They've got a KFC. They've got a KFC somewhere up there.
Speaking of Tasmania, October 30, we had the promoter who wasn't even there, who ran a promotion from his lounge room in Melbourne. Tazzie Brown, tell us all about it. Well, obviously Beck Hawker with a 6th round stoppage of Mousy Jacobs.
Yeah, look, so we've done the one in March with COVID, but this was even harder. So they allowed me to have more people. This time they gave me 950 as the attendance, which I could get over 1,200 easy, but the COVID restricted. Yeah. And the COVID inspectors come and check as well. So there's a big fine there if you don't do the right thing. So look, this time it was tougher because, as you know, Melbourne and Sydney was shut down. Borders closed. COVID was rampant. The only state that was really dealing with in boxing was Queensland. So I done the deal to get Mousy dropped down to featherweight. So a title wasn't on the line, the world title, but she dropped down to featherweight, fight for the Australasian title. I done the deal with Angela Carlo, the promoter. I had Bo Belbin versus a Queenslander. I had Lane McFerrin versus a Queenslander. So that was it. Then I had Plugger Joseph for the heavyweight title against the MMA ex-UFC fighter Rob Wilkinson. Chris Drummer versus Joe Corner, 2 locals. So it's done. The tickets are sold. I've sold 950 tickets, 40-something tables. It's huge. I apply on the G2G pass, which I'm told to do, to enter Tasmania. And I was prepared to go into quarantine for 14 days because that's what you do. I wasn't a fan of it, but I was prepared to do it for my show, to be there. They rejected my request to enter Tasmania. I apply again. And I rang a politician friend of mine in Hobart. He said, do this and do this. I applied and got rejected again. They didn't want anyone from Victoria going to Tasmania. The COVID was that bad. They didn't want us in the state unless it was a life and death thing, which it wasn't. So all of a sudden I got to delegate. Luckily I got my auntie, my cousin working for me. Adrian Lovell and his mum Kayleen done a good job as well. And then I had to watch it on live stream from my living room and make 50 phone calls to make sure everything was going. As you two guys know, being promoters, Peter Matiatis, Linda Hoskins, Hall of Fame promoters in Victoria and Australia, how can you imagine doing a show? You've sold 950 tickets, you've got 15 fights, 10 amateur, 5 pro, and you're not even there. Please tell me how you handle it.
Tough, mate. I'll take my hat off to you. It's can you imagine doing that, Pete?
No, pretty tough one. You have to trust the people around you. That's the main thing. And I'm sure they would have stepped up.
Yeah, exactly. So November 17th, the big one. Tim Zhu with a 12-round decision over Takeshi Inui. And Pete, this is another ripper show because not only was there the main event, Wade Ryan with a 10-round decision over Nath. I won't even pronounce his last name. And Cohen Mazudia with an upset over your man, Joel Camilleri. But again, that aside, it was another ripper night of boxing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Big crowd as well, and they do it well, no limit. It was good to see Tim go 12 hard rounds and get some conditioning in him as well. And Inui was value for money, wasn't he? I mean, he was worth every penny they paid for him because he just kept challenging Tim and copped a lot of big shots too. I mean, just kept coming, and Tim had 12 quality rounds under his belt, and you can't put a price on that.
Yeah, it was 12 rounds. He really, the banked it. It was a great experience for him, wasn't it, Tazzie? You
was ringside, wasn't you, Pete? You was ringside.
Yeah, I was there with Joel.
Tazzie, I was just asking, Tim, 12 good rounds, wasn't it, to get in the bank for him before he fights overseas next year?
Best thing that could have happened to him. You can't beat time in the ring experience, especially with Tim. He's learning on the job. He didn't have a big amateur career like a lot of guys. I can say about his father and that, but look, inherited and natural ability only goes so far. He's doing the hard yards and he's learning on the job each fight. Each fight, I think he's got better and better. And this was a good test. The guy didn't go down. The guy was there to fight. He had to show some of his skills. Then he had to think, maybe I'm not going to get this guy out. Maybe I've got to go a different path and box a bit more. And look, mate, you can't buy the experience he got in those 12 rounds. And he's going to be better for it. And you need that experience fighting the Charlos and the Castanas of the world. You need those rounds. If he would have went down in the first couple of rounds of Nui, it wouldn't have done nothing for Tim. So this only just helps Tim Tszyu go to that next level.
Yeah. No, exactly. Well, we've got just 3 more to go, and this is probably the biggest one of all. November the 27th, George Kambosos Jr. won the undisputed lightweight championship with a 12-round decision over Teofimo Lopez. And Pete, I think we covered this in detail last week, but what more can you say about this one?
Yeah, one of the great moments, not in this year, but probably in the history of Australian boxing.
Yeah.
Probably top 5 moments. So it was great that we got to witness it, and it was good that Georgie won that because he done it the hard way. He had no Foxtel backing him up. Him and his dad had to sell tickets and get commissions and live the dream. Look, every fighter starts off with, my son's going to be a world champion. My son's going to do this. 99.99% it ends with tears. It doesn't happen. This guy's come through and he's actually gone to the other end, and it's so different to, when you grow up with a kid and you just think he's just a normal kid, and that kid ends up being a movie star, and you said, I went to school with him. They don't realise that Georgie went through to the other end. He's now an international superstar, and it's good for Australian boxing. I mean, he's done it the hard way, but that moment that he defeated Lopez, I don't think many people are going to forget that for a very long time, especially that first round. Yeah. He made a statement. Lopez came at him like he'd raped his mum, and he just dug his toes in and went bang with that right hand and said, stay back.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that statement, Pete. But Tazzie, again, as I said, we went over this last week, but just an unbelievable moment in Australian sporting history, not just boxing history, but sporting history.
Look, like Peter said, he started off selling the tickets for the 4 and 6 rounders in Sydney, like we all do, coming out of the amateurs. He cleaned out his backyard. His first big win was Brandon Ogilvie. Then he beat Camille Bella. Then they decided to pack up and go overseas. Training camps in America, training camps with Pacquiao in the Philippines, training camps everywhere. Fighting on shows overseas, and then going over and beating the American boy,
Mickey Bay.
Beating Mickey Bay in America. Then to go over and beat Selby, which I really rate that one because Selby's a very, very good boxer. And he beat him in his backyard. Then he fights Lopez, and no one gives him a chance. And look, I rated him, but I didn't think he'd win it. I said so. He went over there. He's fighting Lopez. He's coming off the Lomachenko win. Big puncher. The next big thing in boxing. It's in Madison Square Garden. It's been postponed 50 times. But he goes and pulls it off. He goes and withstands the barrage of the first round, starts picking holes, starts fighting gaps, knocks him down, boxing in and out, fighting, boxing, fighting. Gets dropped in the, I think in the 10th. I thought he was actually hurt. He said he wasn't. I thought he looked hurt. And then he comes back and wins the last 2 rounds. And you don't write scripts like this. It's a movie. He actually done it. The boy from Australia went over and conquered the big bad American, and then he stays over there, which I can't stop saying how good his management is. He goes and does Joe Rogan. He goes and Shakur Stevenson does all the American media. Devin Haney. He goes to Tank Davis fight. He's interviewed by all the mainstream Americans. It's just massive, mate. So he went over and it doesn't matter where it compares because it's not a competition. But it's up there with, Lionel Rose, Fenwick Nelson, Harden, Andres, Horn, Pacquiao. It's up there. It's top, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you rate it. Yeah. It's huge. He actually pulled it off. He pulled it off, mate. Unbelievable.
Oh, he did. Well, we'll quickly go through the last 2. December 4, Isaac Hardman had a 4th round or predictable 4th round stoppage of Adam Stowe. And Pete, it was another massive card because also on the same card, Jai Apataya, 3rd round knockout of Daniel Russell. Andrew Hunt with a 10-round decision over Ben Kite. Dana Coolwell with a great knockout victory over Miles Zalewski. I think I've got that right. Lucas Brand with a 7th round knockout of Django Apalu. And Taylor Robinson with an eighth round decision over Coley Former. Talk about a marathon day of fights, wasn't it? I think there was a dozen fights or something on the day. It was massive.
Yeah, no, good to see for the purists. Everyone gets a bit of a run and get on TV, get in front of your sponsors, get your profile up and leave the ring with a smile. They all did that. Good way to end the year.
Yeah, and the last one, Tazzie, was the ripper fight between Floyd Masson and, I've spelt that wrong. It's Mark Flanagan, not Mark Flanagan. What a ripper fight that was, and pretty close to the fight of the year.
Yeah, mate. Awesome fight by two guys that are both got great credentials. Ace Boxing and Giancarlo put it together, mate. Huge fight, and as I said, the one before, mate, I really rate Dana Coolwell.
Yeah,
I think he has skills to burn. He reminds me a bit of Willie Kickett, and I really just hope that he stays motivated and dedicated because, he's got some good skills, that kid.
He has. And the other fight that night, of course, was again your man, the mayor of Launceston, Luke Woods, beating Tyson.
Latrobe.
But isn't Launceston's up north, isn't it?
No, yeah, listen. Devonport, there's Hobart, 2 hours. Listen, Hobart, you drive 2 hours to Launceston.
Yeah.
You drive another hour to Devonport. So Devonport, Latrobe, with the spirit of Tazzie, it's about the same. So he's the mayor of Devonport, Latrobe, definitely.
Okay. Either way, very
great win by Luke Woods, mate. He went and done it again.
Exactly.
He went and bet a guy in his backyard. Unbelievable resurgence career by Luke Woods, and mate, I hope he gets some big fights next year and get some good paydays because he's done the hard yards, mate. 2010 Com Games. And he's only fought the best in their backyard.
Yep, no, good on him. And so that's
maybe a rematch against Pete's boy Camo, mate, because I heard that was very close.
Or Wade
maybe a
Ryan,
rematch
good as well. Pete's nodding there, so I'm assuming that's a yes. Speaking of Pete, your segment here, mate, the world news. Now, there's only a couple of things to cover, and one of them was one of the greatest fighters really to put on a pair of gloves, especially as an amateur, and it was this bloke, Lomachenko, and what a win that was.
Yeah, and look, it was good that he came back. He looked really flashy. I just kept thinking of him fighting Kambosos every single time he was throwing his combinations and what George would be doing. Look, I think George Kambosos beats Lomachenko. I think he'd just be too strong. He'd bully him. He'd land power shots. He'd just ruin his rhythm. That's what I think. But maybe I'm right. I just think Lomachenko's, he moves a lot and he's a freak. Don't get me wrong. He's amazing. He's an unbelievable talent. But I'd love to see Kambosos in with him. I just think Kambosos would rough him up. He'd be able to match him in a lot of areas and it'd be too tough for him. That's what and I've got the utmost respect for Lomachenko. I've seen him fight live. I've met his dad. I've met him. They're great people. But I just think he's really, he's a featherweight, junior lightweight. At lightweight, he's not that big. He's not really that strong, but he's got explosive power, brilliant IQ. He's got everything. But I just feel that's the fight for Kambosos. If I was managing Kambosos, that's the fight I'm going for.
Well, that's one of our talking points in a minute, so we'll get to that. But Tazzie, you couldn't be more impressive, though, in his comeback fight. He's been out for over 12 months. It was a great performance, wasn't it?
Mate, I love Lomachenko. I'm very, very favoured towards Russian, Ukrainian fighters because I love the countries. But, I love Loma. 2008, Olympic gold medalist, won the best boxer at the Olympics. Backed it up again in 2012 London. Couple of world championships in between there. 396 fights, one loss, and revenge that twice against a Russian. 3-division world champion, fastest man to do it. He's a freak, mate. He actually was injured, got a shoulder surgery 2 days after Lopez. I'm not big on injuries.
Yeah, well, when Pacquiao said he had a shoulder injury with Mayweather, it was an excuse for Lomachenko's. And Mayweather had and Pacquiao had the arm in a sling as well.
Did Pacquiao have to have an operation, though?
Mate.
About to say that.
Mate, there's no excuses. No excuses for Pacquiao, no excuses for Lomachenko.
Well,
that's right.
He got there.
100%, mate. But maybe we're overrating Lopez a bit.
It's like footy, I reckon, boys. When you get in the ring,
you don't throw a punch.
Yeah.
A guy at that level does not throw a punch for 6 rounds. I mean, that's not. I mean, But look, anyway, that's done and dusted. He's beaten 2 good contenders. The Japanese guy that gave Lopez fits and Comey, obviously, they got knocked out, mate. Loma, I think Loma beats George. I think he's just a different class, mate. But we'll see.
All right, we'll get on to that. I was just going to say it's a bit like footy. When you cross the white line, then you're fully fit, no excuses. So, but we'll move on to the next one. One more of the news scene, Pete, is this weekend. Joseph Parker, Derek Chisora 2. So should be interesting.
Yeah, Joseph Parker, what a nice guy. What a real good guy and good family. And his sister's very nice. Obviously, David Higgins looks after him now. David Higgins isn't a bad bloke himself, loves to party, doesn't mind a party, Dave. But this looks a good card. But I think Batista's off. With Vlasov, that fight's definitely off because Vlasov is fighting Christmas Day.
Yep.
Yeah, but Boost is injured. So that's off. Looking a great card. And look, Matchroom now, they're probably the leading promotional company in the world.
Yep.
And, yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, Parker wins that.
And Bruno Tarimo is on the card too.
Yeah, Bruno's got a eliminator with Barrett. So, I mean, all the best to Bruno, a Tanzanian-based and Queensland now, God's country, as they say. So good on him. Hope he really puts in a good performance.
Yeah, all the best to, obviously, Team Dragonfire Tazzie. They're doing great things, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%, mate, Tony Tolledge. But the debut of 2 of Olympian from New Zealand, David Nikiya, he was at Olympic Games for New Zealand. He's been in training camp with Joseph Parker. He's been sparring with Tyson Fury. He's been sparring Parker. So he's a real good boy to watch out for, is David Nikiya.
Yep, no, it should be good. So I'm not sure if that's on TV, guys. I haven't seen it advertised or anything. But is it? Oh, it's the Zone, sorry. So it'll be on Sunday, early Sunday morning Australian time, I would say. I would think. So, Tazzie, you better get on your skating shoes because you're stepping up to the plate. It is time for Tazzie's Tirade. Now, we actually spoke about this today, and I'm right behind this one because it's big news in the world of amateur boxing.
Yeah, look, we've been seeing that they're talking about the Los Angeles Olympics. Is it 226, is 28. It? Or 28, saying they're taking boxing out of it. Amateur boxing, I mean, are they for real? Yeah. They're bringing in sports like BMX racing and skateboarding and all this absolute shit that's not in the Olympics. Like, they're just adding things. Boxing is the oldest fucking sport. It's, from day one in the Olympic Games.
But, Tazzie, who said that they're taking it out? It's not official yet. So don't just read what you hear because it's going...
Why are they talking about it then?
But everyone does that. It's fake news. There's no way
official?
Boxing will be out of the Olympics. No way, no. Because, I mean, in 2024, boxing's in the Olympics. Boxing will be in the Olympics in another 100 years. There's no way they can take it out.
I think it's been reported by a few different sites, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been reported. Mate, it's just no different to fake news.
Well, anyway, amateur boxing... It helps guys change their lives. Tyson, Ali, Foreman, Fraser, legends of the sport, start off in the amateurs and they turn pro. End of rant.
I think we'll just leave that one at that, Pete, and move on to the talking points. And we've got 5 to get through tonight. Another 5. We'll let Tazzie cool down a little bit there. Got a few to get through here. Obviously, there's not a hell of a lot going on at the moment, but we'll get into the talking point number 1. We'll try and keep it to 2 or 3 minutes tops on this one. Now, this is my rant a little bit here. MMA fighters just won't learn. Now, what I'm saying in this one, I know this is a boxing show, but it's boxing related. On the weekend, we saw Amanda Nunes get stopped by her opponent, Pina. Ended up getting choked out, but no different to when Conor McGregor fought Nate Diaz, Ronda Rousey fought Holly Holm. No boxing skills. They got absolutely slaughtered with hands, and that's what cost them the fight. Now, when I say MMA fighters won't learn, I know they've got to cover all these different types of arts and the judos and the wrestling and the taekwondo and the Muay Thai and all that sort of stuff, jiu-jitsu. I understand all that, but they don't spend enough time on boxing skills. I haven't seen one UFC fighter or MMA fighter with half decent footwork or head skills or hand skills, and it's costing them when they come up against men or women that know how to throw their hands, and they just won't learn. If you're serious about the UFC or MMA or whatever it's called, you need to get into a proper boxing gym and learn how to slip and weave punches. Now, I know the argument will come, a good MMA fighter will get hold of a boxer and snap him in half. Well, try and get hold of a boxer with good footwork and good hands. Try and get close enough to actually grab him. You have no hope. So that's my little rant. MMA fighters, I respect the sport, I respect the athletes, but learn how to freaking box because it's costing some of the biggest stars in the sport their belts. Tazzie, go ahead.
Look, I don't want to give. I want to give this
I know
much
you don't
fire,
care,
mate. So
but do you agree?
I don't even watch the sport, mate. But I've had MMA guys try and grab me on the street, mate, and it hasn't ended up very fucking good for them. So it's a load of bullshit. A good fighter that can fight and knows how to move his feet will not lose to him. And I'm talking about on the street here, not in the ring. So look, good luck to him, mate. I don't watch it. I like women wrestling, cuddling each other. I don't like seeing men cuddle each other. To me, it's a bit homosexual. So,
Pete, what do you reckon? I mean, I'm not having a go at MMA. I mean, I don't really watch it, but I'll see who's won and whatever. But I did watch the highlights last week.
I don't know enough about it. I just don't. I've got
watch
no
the
interest.
replay.
I don't know enough about it.
Just if you see a little bit.
I'd rather watch football than watch MMA.
Yeah, I understand that. Look, I suppose
I'd rather watch tennis.
Yeah, it's just a
So
point.
you prefer to watch. You prefer to watch the Housewives of Beverly Hills, Peter?
Mate, look, seeing blokes with shaved heads and tattoos with tight pants rolling around, hugging each other on the ground just doesn't do anything for me, Lyndon. If that does something for you and you want him to duke it up, well, let him duke it up. But it's not my thing, so I don't really want to comment.
Well,
it's a tough sport. It's a combat sport.
Yep.
But it's not something that I would sort of
no, fair enough. Well, the point was, if you're an MMA fan watching this or you do MMA, do not underestimate the importance of boxing and what you do. I understand you got to do jiu-jitsu and all wrestling and all that sort of stuff, but try and, as I said before, try and get hold of a boxer that has good feet and good hands, mate. It ain't going to happen. You'll get sliced and diced before you get within 6 inches. So,
well, they got to come to boxing to make any money, mate. Simple as that. They got to come to our sport to make money. Right. Their top guy gets paid peanuts, mate. So they got to come to boxing to make any cash. Anyway, let's get off the subject.
All right. Learn how to box. That's my rant. Point number 2. Australian boxing, this is one we can talk about, is on the verge of something special. And with all the fights coming up, well, obviously we've had a massive year with Tim and George and a few of the others and Maloney's are all doing great. Jaya Pataya's coming up. Some great things, but we're on the verge. Obviously, Liam Paro this week. But next year, you've got Jaya Pataya fighting for the world title. Who knows what's going to happen with George. You've got the Maloney boys. It's just a fantastic era coming up. Sorry, mate?
Tim Tszyu.
Tim Tszyu, of course, yeah, sorry. Probably the biggest name outside of George at the moment. But we're on the cusp of something really special, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. And it's,
Sorry, I should have mentioned the name. Go ahead, Pete.
It's a platforms we've got. We've got Foxtel shows. I think Matt Rosa's got 8 or 9 and Dean Lonigan's got 8 or 9. So there's probably 18 or 19 Foxtel shows that fighters can get on.
On
so
top
if
of
you...
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a boxer that's half decent, you're going to get him on national TV on Fox. So that's half the battle. And he can get his sponsors and logos on his shorts, earn a bit of extra money and feel like a fighter. Yep. So
and
let's hope that happens more quick.
Sorry, mate. And the other thing too, Tazzie, is you got Eddie Hearn, who's about to come into Australia as well. Obviously, I think D&L have got some big things planned next year, is what Pete said. And on top of that, you got No Limit. So not just boxing, but the interest in boxing. And that's obviously due to George Kambosos and Tim Tszyu for that matter. All eyes are now on boxing. And when you've got Eddie Hearn sniffing around, about to dip his toe in the water of Australian boxing, it's pretty exciting on top of what we already have with No Limit and D&L.
Oh, it's huge, mate. I mean, just like Peter said, having the Fox Sports dates by the Rose Boys and Dean Lonigan, it gives a massive platform to have an Australian pay-per-view star in Tim Tszyu, to have even Gallen, because they buy it, they watch him and they see all down the car fights. Now to have George Kambosos globally, with a chance of fighting, in Australia. Brock Jarvis is with Matchroom. Jai Pataya's close to world title shot. The Maloney boys are always there. Internationally, Liam Parre's there now. Dempsey McKean's overseas. Justice Hooney is destined for great things. Got a lot of up and comers as well. Sam Goodman's a good prospect. Dana Cool's a good prospect.
Yep.
Paul Fleming's still there. I think he's fighting Bilal Dib next year in a bit of a grudge match.
Yep.
Look, there's a lot of the future is bright, and it does go back to the fact of the TV dates.
Yep.
The TV dates are everything.
Yeah, no, agree, mate. Hopefully Pete, he's out of picture there because he's taking a phone call. Hopefully he'll go further away from the camera so we can't hear his conversation there.
He might be trying to get some. Yeah. He might be trying to get some extra quiz. He's doing some research in the quiz.
Mate. Let's go. We'll continue on with point number 3. We quickly went over that before, but Vasily Lomachenko has earned the right to fight Kambosos. What do you think? I actually think he does, compared to what Haney and Davis did. I think he's earned it.
Yeah, mate, Loma deserves it. Look, he lost to Lopez, but then he's come back and beaten the Japanese guy who gave Lopez fits. He's beaten 4 world champion Comey. He's beat him in style. He would have stopped Comey if he didn't show any mercy the other day. 100%, mate. Haney's beaten, really no one. Like Linares is his best win. Tank sort of, I think Tank can beat most people, but look, he still hasn't really shown it. Loma definitely deserves it. And he's a 3-time, 3-division world champion, 2-time Olympic gold medalist. He says how he wants to be undisputed. That's his dream, his goal. He said he'll travel to Australia. So I hope it is Loma. And that would be huge. That's bigger than Haney. Bringing Loma to Australia, it's like bringing Pacquiao here. Probably not as big, but it's big, yeah. So it's bigger than all of them. Tank Davis is not coming to Australia. Floyd will keep him over there. Tank Davis makes that much money and is a mainstream superstar, whether he fights for the belts or not. Yeah. So I think Loma definitely should get the
What happens in the fight, mate, if Kambosos fights Lomachenko? Early kick.
Look, mate, I don't... I like George and I respect him. And as I said, look, I don't want to feel like I'm against him, but I know I didn't tip him to beat Lopez. He fought out of his skin that night, but I just don't think he beats Loma. I think he can beat Haney. I think he can beat Ryan Garcia. I don't think he beats Tank, or I don't think he beats Loma. I think Loma, if Loma's half at his best, it'll be too good for everyone. But I want him to win. I want him to do well. But I'm not going to be a kiss ass on the show and be something I'm not. Yep. I don't think he beats Loma.
No, fair enough, mate. And I have to agree. And I think the thing
you want me to be a kiss ass? I can't be a kiss ass.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And I think the other thing that might actually work against George now is that all these guys, those good guys, know exactly what's coming at them. They know exactly about
They're
George.
Not taking him lightly.
Exactly. And I think if he comes up against Lomachenko, he's going to get the best Lomachenko, not someone like Lopez who look, we all admire what George did and it'll go down in folklore, but at the end of the day, Lopez underestimated him. It's as simple as that. So I don't think he's going to have the same luxury.
You think Loma beats him?
Sorry, mate?
You think Loma wins? You think Loma beats him?
Yeah, for sure. Lomachenko wins, for sure. Because I think we're going to get the best Lomachenko. That's what I think. I think we're not going to...
He wants those 4 belts, mate. He wants them 4 belts. He come that close against fucking Lopez.
Yep.
So...
Yeah. All right, mate, we'll keep moving on with talking point number 4. Here's one. Could we see Canelo, Alvarez and Alexander Usyk in 2022? I mean, they're talking about it. I hope not, but they're talking about Usyk coming down and Canelo at cruiserweight. Surely it couldn't happen, could it?
Too much, mate. Canelo can do a lot, but he doesn't beat Usyk, mate.
No, exactly.
Yeah, look, that doesn't happen, mate. Look, I hope not, mate. That's just a bit ridiculous. And Usyk is a big man, big boxing southpaw. Look, I hope that doesn't happen, mate. That's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree, mate. All right, well, before Pete comes back, we'll get on to talking point number 5. This is one that you'll no doubt want to comment on, and this is, will Team Fennec 2 emerge in 2022? And the reason I'm saying that, obviously, he's already got Brock. He always said he probably only really wanted Brock at the start. Obviously, Jack Brubaker come on board. Got Caesar Avacan. I think that's how how to pronounce it? Avafkan is now on board. But now I see this week, Taylor Robinson is also training with Jeff Fennick. So could we see the re-emergence of Team Fennick?
He's got Luke Jackson too, mate.
And Luke Jackson. Exactly. So
Luke Jackson's there as well.
I know it's not going to be as good as Team Fennick 1, but could we see the re-emergence of Team Fennick 2?
Well, Team Fennick 1, you had Sakio Bika, future WC World Champion, Victor Chinian, future undisputed 3-division World Champion, Adele Skinny is saying 2-time world title contender, almost beat Manny Pacquiao. Hussein is saying 2-time world champion, that 4 for 2 world titles. Yep. Danny Green, finished up being world champion. Daniel Gill, finished up being 2-time world champion. Myself, I had a crack. Love More to Do was there for a bit, future world champion. Ben Rabar, 4 for world title.
Nada Hamden.
Garrison Clegg, Nada Hamden, 4 for world title. Mate, Shannon Taylor, 4 for world title. Mate, look, next level.
Yeah, I was just
Team
saying.
Fennick, next level.
I was just saying, Pete. We obviously had the team Fennick back when Tazzie was fighting in the 90s, but now Team Fennick. Sorry, was it early 2000s? Was it whatever it was? But Team Fennick 2.
Yeah.
Now with Brock Jarvis. Who else did I say? Jack Brubaker, Caesar. How do you pronounce it, Pete?
Caesar Afcam,
and now Taylor Robinson's been training there as well. I think he's got a model boxing there as well, some girl as well. So that's what I was saying. Could we see the emergence of? We've got Team Zoo too. Could we see Team Fennick too?
Yeah, why not? Jeff's one of the best in the business. It'd be great for Jeff to rekindle a second part. Why not?
Yep, exactly. All right, boys. Well, before we get to the quiz, we just want to go through a couple of our categories tonight, our little mini award show. First of all, we're going to have our Australian Fighter of the Year, male and female. We've got the Fight of the... and that's an international one as well. And then we've got Fight of the Year, international and Australian. The 2022 fight in Australia we'd like to see, and the 2022 fight internationally we'd like to see. So I'm going to kick it off first, boys. I'm going to get in first. My Fighter of the Year... undisputably is George Kambosos for the male. Honorary mention to Tim Zhu, who had it all stitched up until a couple of weeks ago when George won. So he'd be number 2. And I've got a surprise one for number 3, Isaac Hardman. 4 tough fights for the year, 4 knockout victories. I think he's been really good this year, Isaac. So I've given him number 3. Female Fighter of the Year, I've gone for Shannon O'Connell for obvious reasons. Number 2, Taylor Robinson. She had a couple of really good wins for the year. And number 3, I've got Beck Hawker, who obviously had the win over Mousy Jacobs as well. And we'll go on the bigger thing. So there's my tips. Pete, who have you got for your male Fighter of the Year for the Australian category?
I've got George Kambosos for my male Fighter of the Year and Tim Zhu as the runner-up.
Yep.
You can't go past Shannon O'Connell for the female. She's just and I've got Beck Hawker as runner-up. Yep. So I just thought Beck had a fabulous year, and she's only 21 and she's got a long career in front of her. Yep. What was the other category?
No, that's it for this one. So the Fighter of the Year, male and female. Actually, I think it was international as well. Mine was Canelo Alvarez for obvious reasons, and same as you. Yep. Tazzie?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, hands down, it would have been Tim Zhu for sure. But George Kambosos shocked the world and come home with the undisputed lightweight title. So George Kambosos, Tim Zhu, a close second. And I agree with you. Isaac Hardman was the busiest guy in boxing, so he deserves definitely to get the third nod. The women, Shannon O'Connell, you can't go past her. She's the GOAT. Beck Hawker, number 2, and I'll give number 3 to Mousy Jacobs because she did win the WBI world title at the start of the year, and then went down in a tough fight against Beck Hawker. So I'll give her there the Tazzie girl, Mousy
Fighter of the Year, mate.
Canelo Alvarez, hands down. Number 2 is Alexander Usyk because he did win the heavyweight world title and beat Anthony Joshua. So Usyk, who's my number.
And Fury, of course. Tyson Fury. Got to put him in there, of course.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but so definitely Canelo Alvarez, mate. He took all the belts. He was active. And he's the biggest thing in world boxing.
Yeah, he is. All right, let's move on to the fight of the year in Australia. I've gone for Floyd Masson and Mark Flanagan, which was only last weekend or the weekend before. I think that was clear. And my world fight of the year, it was a bit of a toss-up, but I've gone for our man, George Kambosos, with a 12-round decision over Teofimo Lopez on the international circuit. What do you reckon, Pete?
It's going to be boring. I agree with you, Lyndon.
Yep.
I've got Kambosos and Lopez international, and I've got Floyd Mason and Flanagan as the local fight of the year.
Yep. How about you, Tazzie?
I've got Flanagan, Mason as Australian fight of the year. International fight of the year, I've got Tyson Fury rematch, number 3 trilogy against Deontay Wilder. So much action in that fight.
Yeah.
It was just ooh and ah, and I was like a kid going, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
Wilder was never out of it. I think that definitely stands out for me. The Lopez Gambosa fight's a great story. It wasn't that great a fight. I think Gambosa's won it fairly easy, mate. Like apart from the knockdown, I think Gambosa's had his measure most of the middle rounds. Yeah. Lopez is walking forward, throwing a jab. I think George actually won it fairly easy. If it wasn't for the knockdown, George wins out by 4 or 5 rounds, in my opinion.
I was a little bit the same. I was like that with Fury and Wilder. That was my runner-up. But my thing with that was, apart from the 3rd or 4th round where Fury got put down a couple of times, I actually thought he won nearly every round as well.
He still got, every time Wilder threw the right hand, even later, he still sort of rocked Fury. Yeah. So I was just like, don't get hit with the right hand, Fury. Just don't get hit with the right hand.
Yeah, they were both ripper fights. So we'll call them number 1 and 2. Let's go to the 2022 Australian fight we would like to see more than anything. I'll go first with this one. My first choice is Floyd Mason and Jason Waitley. I think we spoke about this last week. I'd love to see that matchup. I know it's not going to happen, Pete, so I know we'll put a line through it. I would love to see it. For the females, I'd love to see Shannon O'Connell against Ebony Bridges. I think that'd be great. I think Shannon O'Connell wins that quite comfortably, but I think it'd be an entertaining fight, and the build-up would be great, and the interest in it would be great.
I think the Wayne would be entertaining.
Would be interesting. And I've got a couple of honorary mentions there. Andrew Hunt, Ty Telford, I would love to see. Dara Foley, Stevie Spark, I would love to see. And Brock Jarvis, Kai McKenzie is another one I'd love to see. Up to you, Pete.
Yeah, it's a tough one. So many good fights out there. So many good fights out there. I'd probably like to see. Zarafa Hardman's a good one to start off with. I really want to see that. That's already locked in, though.
This is the fight that you'd like to see.
I'd like to see. Okay. Waitley and Mason would be a great fight. That would be one I'd want to see. There's just so many ones that could happen. Hardman maybe, can he fight? Could he fight someone like someone like Faris Chevalier at super middle? I'd love to see a fight like that. Hardman and Chevalier at super middle would be interesting.
Yeah,
if he's willing to go up a division.
All right, Tazzie, up to you.
Bit of a tough one, actually. I'd like to see. Probably Dana Coolwell versus anyone, whether it's Liam Wilson or Paul Fleming, or if he's a super featherweight. I did have a go. I'd like to see Luke Woods versus old mate we just mentioned before, Wade Ryan. I reckon that's just a really good fight of two guys that turn their career around. There's some good matchups there. There's no real massive like Green Mundine or like that, but there's some great fights out there. But nothing off the top of my head that I'd really put on my Christmas wish list.
All right. Well, the last one is the international fight we would like to see in 2022. I'll go first, and I think there's a few out there. There's a few on the go at the moment, but I'd love to see Gennady Golovkin against Jamel Charlo. I think would be a ripper. For the girls, I'd love to see Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano would be a ripper. And on our mention, obviously, we'd all love to see Crawford Spence, but I'd also like to see Josh Taylor and Tank Davis. I think that'd be a pretty good fight as well. What about you, Pete?
I'd like to see Kambosos and Lomachenko.
Yeah, good call. Yep.
That's the one I want to see really more than any of them. And I think that's really possible with the way things are going.
Yep.
That's probably the...
All right. Tazzie, what's the international fight you'd love to see?
Oh, mate, it's Crawford Spence, hands down. Has to happen.
Yeah.
Crawford Spence all day. Crawford Spence. I still like to see Fury Joshua one day, just because that English rivalry. You know
What
what I
about
mean?
Joshua and like Wilder? How do you reckon that fight would go? That'd be a pretty good one too.
Yeah, 100%. I think Wilder gets him.
I think Wilder would chin him too. I think ability-wise, Joshua's got it all over him, but all it takes is that one punch, which is what Wilder's got. So, good.
But yeah, what else? Junior Waters, nothing there. Waterweight, obviously Crawford Spence. I'll tell you now, keep an eye out for this one, guys. You're going to know the name because you know boxing. Yeah. Keep an eye out for Jared Boots Innes. He's a waterweight, ranked in all the bodies. Mate, he could beat Spence and Crawford maybe in the next year or two, mate. He's
we talked about him a few weeks back.
The one to watch. Boots Innes. He's a very, very good fighter.
Yeah.
Mate, as I said, I like to see any of the lightweights fights, George versus Loma, George versus Haney, George versus Tank, Tank versus Haney, Tank versus Loma, Ryan Garcia versus... Lightweights are all good division. Canelo Benavidez, once he's done with the cruiserweight thing, Benavidez. And Timmy Zoo versus the winner of Charlo Castana.
Which is the obvious one as well. Yep. Yeah.
Which I hope it's Charlo.
Yep.
They hope it's Charlo. I hope it's Charlo. He's the bigger name. And be good for him to go over and get all the belts like George did, hopefully. Yep. Not an easy feat, but I think he definitely can do it.
Yeah, no, 100%. All right, boys. Well, that's that one over. Let's get on to the final segment of the program. It's one we've all been waiting for. And it is the Boxing Deep Dive Quiz. Now, this is for all the marbles, boys. This is our final show of the year, so our final quiz of the year as well, obviously. So the winner gets the bragging rights until we start again in mid-2022. So are we ready to lock horns for a final time?
Yep.
We are.
All right, so I'll go over the rules just once more. When I say the question, yell out your name. I will be the judge of who is first, regardless of the lag that you guys have. Trust me, I've got it right. If you get it wrong, the other person has a free crack at it, unless I forget, of course, but hopefully I don't tonight. Free crack at it. The other one does not get another crack once you've had an answer. That is it. Judge's decision is final, okay? And if need be, we'll go to a tiebreaker. All right, and I need full answers too. So if there's a name, I don't need the first name or last name. I need the whole name. Are we ready? 5 Aussie questions first. Nice, easy one to get us started. All right, number 1. What was the name of the eldest Waters brother?
Tazzie.
Tazzie.
Dean.
Dean is correct. Number 1 to Tazzie. Number 2. What Olympics did Paul Fleming compete? Peter?
Beijing.
Yeah, what year?
2008.
Yes, 1-1. Number 3. What Aussie great was nicknamed The Flash?
Tazzie.
Peter?
Jeffrey Malcolm.
That's right, 2-1. All right, I'm starting to sweat here. Number 4. Who was the first Aussie to fight Roy Jones Jr.? Tazzie.
Glenn Kelly.
Glenn Kelly is correct. 2-2. All right, this will test both of you, I reckon. What year did Lionel Rose win his world title?
Tazzie.
Yes, Peter.
1969.
Incorrect. Tazzie.
What was the question?
What year did he win his world title?
Lionel Rose.
Yep.
Yeah, 1969.
Incorrect. I'd quickly jump on BoxRec if I was you.
1959.
No, incorrect. 1968.
There we go.
1968. Hang on, I'm just going to quickly. I'll jump on here, Bob.
I thought it was 69.
Oh, I thought it was 1969 as well. Hang on, I'm going to jump on here while we are on air here. 1968. 27th of February 1968, fighting Harada in Japan. Won with a 15-round decision. I'll keep that open just in case we need it. All right. So that we're still on 2-2.
Yeah.
Who had the nickname the Explosive Thin Man?
Peter!
Peter.
Blank.
Tazzie.
Morris Blocker.
Alexis Arguello.
Well,
The Explosive Thin Man. So 2-2. What casino hosted the Holmes-Cooney fight in 82?
Tazzie.
Peter!
Yes, Tazzie.
Caesar's Palace.
Correct. 3-2 for Tazzie. 2 more to go before we get into the Who Am I. Who did James Toney knock out to win his first world title?
Tazzie.
Yes, Tazzie.
Michael Nunn.
Correct. 4-2. Come on, Pete. You got 2 more here. This is a tricky
Don't
one.
go fucking come on, Pete.
Come on.
Don't
All right, I
go
said
come
that
on,
last
Pete.
time, didn't I?
You
All right.
stay neutral, mate, and do
All
the
right.
job, please.
This is a tricky one. Let's see how well you know your boxing here. What was the nationality of the 5 Hilton brothers?
Tazzie.
Peter!
Yes, Tazzie.
Canadian.
Correct. I didn't think you'd get that one. Matthew and Davey obviously won the world titles, and there's another 3 as well. Good fighter, Matthew Hilton, in the day, by the way. All right, last one. Bit of pride here. Who am I? I was born on January the 2nd, 1969. After losing in the 1988 Olympic trials, I turned professional later that year. After piling up 28 straight wins,
What Olympics?
88.
I got it, mate. Me.
Yep.
Roy Jones Jr.
Incorrect. I said after losing in the 88 Olympic trials was the so it's up to you, Tazzie.
Oh.
Free answer, free crack at this. All right. And you're going to kick yourself here, Pete. All right. After piling up 28 straight wins, I had my first crack at a world title, getting knocked out in the 5th round. After eight straight knockout wins, I got my second chance at a world title in 1993, this time winning a 12-round decision. After one defence, I was brutally knocked out in the first round to lose the title. That would be my last world title fight, and I retired in 1996 before coming out of retirement in 2007 for 2 non-eventful fights. I retired for good in 2008 with a 48 3-1 record. My other claim to fame is starring in one of the Rocky movies. My nickname was The Duke. I am...
Tommy Morrison.
Correct. Pete, you didn't get Tommy Morrison. He was your man.
I managed the guy
Yeah.
at the end of his career.
The final quiz for 2021.
Yeah, but Tommy
Bring it
never
in,
went to the
Pete.
Olympics.
No,
Tommy
no.
never went to the Olympics.
No, I didn't say he went to the Olympics. I said he lost in the 88 Olympic trials.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he lost to Mercer.
Yeah, and then got knocked out by
Actually
him
lost
in
to
the pros.
Mercer.
Tazzie.
They should have- yeah.
Tazzie.
Well done,
Tazzie.
Tazzie. Yeah, I need
Good
hearing aids
shoeies.
on that one, mate.
We do the shoeies. We do
Well,
the
no one goes
shoeies.
back to back.
Well,
No one
it's
seems to
gone
go
the
back
way
to back.
all
Hey,
year.
hey, how good was the Hilton Brothers one, mate? The Hilton Brothers.
I was very impressed
I
with
knew
that. I
that
didn't think
one.
you'd get that.
I knew that one.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Matthew.
The one
back in
that
the day.
shocked me was Lionel Rose. I'm
Yeah.
still sure it was in 60.
I thought it was 69 as well, but it says here 27th of February 1968.
Can I just do that,
Yep.
Lionel? Because
Yep.
I would have bet a lot of money that it was 69.
Yeah.
But
No. Well, it says here he beat Fighting Harada in 68. He fought Alan Rudkin in 69. Lost his titles in 69 to Ruben Oliveras.
Yeah, Harada in 68.
Yeah, I thought it was 69 as well. So there you go. But he lost it the next year against Ruben
No,
Oliveira.
I'm wrong. Famishon fought Harada in 69.
Ah, okay.
It was Famishon. So if you're going to Famo's records, it was 69. I got confused. Going to Famo's records, I bet he fought him in 69.
Where are
That
we?
is John
Johnny Famishon,
Famishon.
1969, yeah, in Sydney Stadium. And he
Yep.
won a 15-round decision for the WBC.
That's where I mucked it up. Yeah, Lionel was
Fought him
68.
twice. Fought him in 1970 as well.
What's that?
He fought him in 1970.
Yeah. Lionel was, I mucked it up.
All right.
Happens.
Well, unfortunately, that means that Tazzie's going to reign supreme for the next 4 or 5 weeks until we reconvene. So congratulations, Tazzie.
Well done, Tazzie.
Look, it's been a really good year. What we should do, I think, next year is maybe we got a couple of people we can actually play for, and maybe give them a prize or something like that if they happen to win. I reckon. So we'll see. But boys, it's been a great year. Every show's sort of been better than the last. We're still growing. We're getting better, obviously, as we go. But really enjoying doing the shows with you guys and Mike as well with the other ones as well.
Mate, I just want to say, you're only as good as your rival. Pete's a great competitor. You're never out of it with him. He come from behind last week, but tonight I was in a good zone tonight, mate. When I'm on, I'll beat anyone in the world. Anyone. Bob Arum, Richard Schaefer, the boys of Prolamo, fucking Al Bernstein. I beat anyone in the world in boxing quizzes.
Wow.
That's how much I believe in myself. And I'm humble, but no one's on my level. Lyndon, thanks for being a great host.
No worries,
Boxing
mate.
Deep Dive is the hottest show in boxing in Australia. And, mate, many superstars are going to be interviewed next year. And it's been a pleasure.
Nah, thanks, mate. And thanks again, Pete. I know you're a busy man as well, and you got your own shows that you do all over the place. So it's been great to have your knowledge on board. It's a pity you couldn't get over Tazzie in the quiz, but there you go.
No, Tazzie was too good tonight. Congrats to Tazzie, but big cheerio to Mike Aldemura as well. Mike's been part of the show.
Mikey, boy.
Yep.
He's travelling around, but big thank you to you, Lyndon, for putting in the hours. It's professional the way you do it, and the quiz questions are absolutely unbelievable, and that's one of the things I look forward to during the week. I'd love to do a quiz every day if possible, but and well done, Tazzie. Tazzie's just too quick off the mark. I've got to get off the shoeies, mate, and get straight back into training now for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah,
you just got to stay away from the city, stay away from King Street, mate, and just have some early nights, mate. Watch a bit of 24/7s, mate.
Yeah. Well, guys,
sure.
have a great Christmas to all our viewers out there. Really appreciate your support and the feedback and the comments and all that sort of stuff. Keep them coming.
Big Bill Hack, shout out to Big Billy Hack in Tazzie.
Yeah, one of our first and most loyal viewers. So thank you to him and everyone else, and it's a pleasure to put the show on. We enjoy it, and we hope that everyone out there has a great Christmas, and we look forward to seeing you all again, whether it by YouTube or by Spotify. Look forward to having you on board for next year. So thanks again. Thanks, guys.
No, thanks, guys.